Hello.
Hello. 2 eggs here.
And third one. Where are we going, Mark?
We're going to Leeds today
Why?
because somebody signed us up to do the Royal British Legion 1,000 miles in 24 hours, which starts tomorrow.
Yeah, but we started our day the Rose way.
There you go.
Yeah.
That could be a tagline for something.
I'm going to patent it.
And sleep.
Yeah. So we'll see you at somewhere along the line when we're lying in a ditch.
Yeah. I have got my pillow.
There they are down at, I think we're at Hopwood Services after the worst trip on UK motorways ever experienced by anyone ever.
I'll give you a shout.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Where are we?
Hopwood Park Services, near Birmingham.
Oh. After the best ride ever, said nobody.
That's alright, a little bit of filtering from just before Bristol.
Yeah, down near Penzance. Horrendous. 300 days later, filtering for miles. It's been a hard day, isn't it? Filtering.
Apparently not as hard as tomorrow's going to be.
No, but we are here. We're at Squire's Cafe Bar.
In Yorkshire.
Have a look at that sign over there, Paul. Loads of bikers around, and this is where we start tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning. And it's what, 6:30 in the evening now?
Now, yeah. And it's there's about 140?
Yeah, 140 riders. Royal British Legion Iron Butt Challenge. And we're doing the Route A, which is the clockwise, isn't it? All the way up over around Scotland and all the way back to Leeds in 24 hours.
Can't wait.
1,000 miles.
Let's get on.
See you later. Good morning. Look at the weather, it's amazing.
Morning.
It's
Oh my God, a clock.
It's like stupid o'clock, but look at all the bikes there.
All the dirties are available. Apparently we're going to do 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
Yeah, with 24 hours, we'll do 1,000 miles.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
God, no, it's
Oh my
early,
God,
isn't it?
and Paul is holding the camera, he's shaking, you can see that.
We'll catch you on the way round.
See you in a little while, eh?
Yeah. So you join us near Loch Lomond on our 1,000-mile Iron Butt Challenge for the Royal British Legion. So we left this morning at 4:30 from the hotel, got to the briefing point for 5 o'clock, 4:45, signed in, got all the bits of paperwork done. Basically it's just a disclaimer and then a record sheet, because at 6 points through the 1,000 miles you have to get a receipt of some sort to say we've been there. It's really well organised actually. We turned up, the guys were there, marked us in, gave us our sheets, really friendly people, as we know motorbikers are anyway. Anyway, this morning we get there, they made sure that we were all accounted for, and then at 5 o'clock all the people doing the 1,000 miles, because you could do a 500-mile Iron Butt Challenge, they were going at 6 o'clock, and all of the ones that are doing 1,000 miles were leaving at 5. So a whole host of us, I think there was about 140 bikes, all left at 5 o'clock, and you could do several different routes. So you've got the north clockwise and north anti-clockwise. We're doing the clockwise up around Scotland, and then they've got two other, I think it's south clockwise and south anti-clockwise. They basically go all the way down through Middle England, I guess. I think they go across through to Wales and all sorts. Anyway, so we're doing the north clockwise route, which is, I'm hoping, going to shape up to be really good. The motorways, even though we've been on motorways for what seems to be like ages this morning, in actual fact the motorways have had some amazing views. We haven't taken pictures of them or videos because we didn't want to just take video of boring motorways, but we're down near Loch Lomond and we still got 719 miles to go. Now, didn't really sleep that well last night, I was quite excited. And what has been going through my mind actually is how is so I was thinking to myself, how am I going to cope? And it's structured so you stop every 6 stops in the 1,000 miles, but obviously you need to stop for fuel and comfort breaks and stuff in between, which is quite nice actually. And there's 3 of us riding together. Paul's in the middle bike on his Harley, and Mark is at the front on his GSA. We're just riding sensibly, sticking to the speed limits everywhere, as you would imagine. Really enjoying the ride. But if we want to stop, we'll stop. If we don't want to stop, then we won't stop. And it's just, I tell you what, it's almost like just being on a guided tour. Paul's lucky, he's got 2 guides. It's just like being on a tour. They do lock cruises as well. I tell you what, I'm not even going to try and pronounce any of the names up here. I really don't want to do the Scottish country and the people a disservice by trying to pronounce the names of the places that we go through, but I tell you what, we've only touched the tip of it so far, and it's beautiful. I mean, look at this. Now that's as beautiful, if not more beautiful, than the fjords, isn't it? In Norway and Sweden and places like that. I mean, that is just beautiful. And they've put a road next to it with corners on it. Oh, these Scottish people, they thought of everything. Oh, it's just wonderful. I don't expect the video will do any of the location justice, to be honest. But it is just stunning. And it's my first time in Scotland actually, so I'm really, really excited to be in Scotland. I've never been here before. I think because it's just so far from Cornwall, you know, like you're one end of the country to the other. It's not because I haven't wanted to go to Scotland, but never had the opportunity. And when Mark said, "What do you want?" Well, look at that. Who'd have thought a V-Lays, my 1250 GSA, would have brought us all this way on this adventure. And we've still got 725 miles to go.
Well, hello. There's Mr. T. There's Mr. Complicated name. SA. Just about to go down through Glencoe. How exciting is that? Come on! I think this is one of the highlights of the ride. So we're just coming down off Rannoch Moor. The weather is absolutely fantastic. All the times I've been up here into the Highlands, never had weather like this. When I was in the military, it was always miserable. But here we are, coming down off Rannoch Moor, just about to go into Glencoe. And this is just... There's my phone connected apparently. This is just a phenomenal view. It never fails to excite me as we come down, head towards Ballahullish. So on the right hand side, just ahead of us, you've got the Anakiga Ridge, which stretches the whole length of Glencoe. Horrendous place to walk on at night. And as we come around the corner into the actual glen itself, there's a valley up on the left. It's called the Secret Valley, and oh, nicely placed speed camera there. There's a lot of bikes out today. It is a Saturday, the weather's fantastic. I suppose it's a target-rich environment. So we're just approaching. There's a waterfall at the top of the valley, which everyone stops to have a look at. And it's really nice because it's hidden at the moment. You can't quite see it. Glencoe it is. So we bimble round, loads of walkers out. But you don't get weather like this very often. However, saying that, I think the best time to come up into the Highlands is probably April, end of April, beginning of May, when the weather is usually quite nice, in September and October time. So we just go around the corner here now. And it's still hidden from you. You're like, where is it? Where is it? Where's the Go? Here we are. This is the famous Glencoe. I did my mountain training up here. It was horrendous. Little bridge down in the valley there. We had to classic abseil off it, so we had to learn to abseil without any equipment, just rope along it. The chimney pots you have to are like these little granite outposts that there's my mate Spider. Like granite outposts that stand up on the top. You can either just climb over them or you have to rope up and go around them, and I've done it in the daytime, trying to bodge your way past people who are trying to climb it, civilians. Oh, come on fellas, there's no parking here. You can see it's all blocked. Where we are now, we are 23 miles away from Fort William, and that's where we get our second fuel receipt, so we'll have done 302 miles from our last stop at Rivington Pike. We get a receipt here from the 24-hour fuel station, and then we're off up to Wick, and we go along the Loch Ness and then cut off just before we get to the end of it, up over the top. So we've now been riding for nearly 7.5 hours. We have 670 miles to go. Currently, if we didn't do any stops, our projected time to get in would be 1:30 in the morning. But obviously we've got to do, including this next receipt pickup, we've got 4 more to do after that, so there's 6 official stops you have to do. So it's good at the moment, we're enjoying it, it's really nice. I think the weather's helping. If it had been miserable it would have been a bit of a different story, but
So this is a little update. We're halfway. Where are we now?
we are in Wick.
In Wick, on the NC 500. Awesome roads. We've been riding that long. Both growing a beard.
And it shaved this morning.
We'll see you in the next bit.
Mine's in my box. What we got?
This is,
We're members.
this certifies that my ass is now a piece of Aberdeen Angus steak. But we're members of the Iron Book Club.
And we did it in 23 hours.
Can't ask for better than that,
Should
can
have
you?
a platinum one.
Should do.
But it's all thanks to these guys, all these people here that
What you got
raised
to do
it.
next year is make
How
the
amazing.
get the bacon.
No, what you do on the 1st of April is a ride called the Fool's Gold.
Enough of that.
Yeah, we've done it, we've finished, and we're going to go home to
We've
bed.
done it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks everyone, bye.
Hello.
Hello?
My backside is so sore.
Why would that be?
Yeah, clean thoughts, people.
Why would that be?
Well, I did 1,000 miles in 24 hours, Mark.
I don't understand what your problem is. I have actually no issues whatsoever.
Other than the fact because we're getting old, we can't stand up or sit down. But we have just completed, or a few days ago, just completed the Royal British Legion 1,000 mile Iron Butt Challenge from Leeds, and we chose to do the clockwise route, which goes...
Squire's Cafe is outside
yeah.
Castleford.
So where does it go? And we'll put a map
Clockwise.
while we're talking about it.
You've gone all the way through the title there, mate, but you didn't say what the time constraint was. It was 1,000 miles in 24 hours.
Oh, it was, yeah.
We did it in 23 hours 15. Hence the cushion.
The fact
Hence
that
the dark
I'm
glasses, because I can't see now. My eyes are like mad dog's testicles, all red and swollen. So it goes from, there are
Four routes, aren't there?
You can either do the north clockwise or anti-clockwise, the south clockwise or anti-clockwise, and there's a 500-mile route you could do as well. So we did the north clockwise,
yeah,
which took us from Squire's Cafe just outside Castleford in Leeds, down the M62 to the M6,
yeah,
north up to Fort William.
yeah.
And then,
that was that when we went past the Loch Lomond, Fort William.
yeah, you turn right at Tarbet and you go along what used to be known as the Wibbly Wobbly Way. Now it's just a boring road you follow coaches on. It's not as wobbly as it used to be. And then we got to Fort William, across from Fort William, going past Speen Bridge and Loch Ness,
Yeah.
into Inverness, then north up to Wick.
Oh, and what a road.
It was actually.
Oh,
Wick is only about 25 miles away from John O'Groats.
yeah.
You go to Tesco's 24-hour fuel station at Wick and then get a receipt, and you come all the way back down through Edinburgh, Berwick-upon-Tweed, and back down to Squires Calf, down the A1.
And it was an exceptional time, wasn't it? And throughout, so 24 hours to do 1,000 miles, and there were some people that didn't do it in the 24 hours, weren't there? I saw in the forums, but we won't get into the politics of that. But you've got to get right around in 24 hours, so you can stop as long as you want, wherever you want. However, throughout the course of the 1,000 miles, you have to stop in the designated places. And in 6 of them, or no,
There's 4.
4 of them, you have to get a receipt of something so that they know that you've been there.
When you start, they give you like a ride log, just a piece of paper, and the first stop we had to do was at a motorway services. Rivington Pike Services on the M6. Stop and get a receipt there, so that was easy to get fuel.
Yeah.
Then the longest stage was between Rivington Pike and Fort William.
Yeah.
And that was 302 miles.
So we had to stop in between to get fuel, but that receipt didn't count.
Paul, who's with us, is not here for this because he's working. He was on his Harley, so he did about just over 200 miles on his tank.
Did well though.
He did really well. A little bit scary at one point. But,
a little bit.
So we had to stop for him to get some extra fuel. Then we stopped just outside Fort William, got a receipt from the garage there. Then Wick 24-hour services at the Tesco place. Then down to a garage that's just off the A1M, I think it was.
Yeah.
Just south of Edinburgh. Get a receipt of any kind there, because we actually didn't need fuel. Any old receipt, as long as it's got the name on. And then Berwick-upon-Tweed, we topped up.
Yeah.
And then came straight back to Squires Calf. And they sign you in, check all your receipts. You have to hand your receipts over. You have to number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they take it away and verify it. But you get your certificate straight away for doing it. And bizarrely enough, we finished at 4:15 in the morning. We set up at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning. And there were people cheering as we came in. I was really quite impressed by that. It was really nice.
It like melted your heart, because I'm not going to say old people, but they were a certain age, and I think there were a couple of people with different abilities, because I don't like disability, the different abilities, and they'd put loads of different coloured lights all over them, and when we came over the horizon, they were like, yay, well done, well done. And it was so nice to see, wasn't it?
That was the last thing we expected.
But I've got to say, before I went, I was quite not nervous. What's another word for nervous? Oh, okay, nervous, because in the job that I've done for 20 odd years, I've done loads of night shifts, and I know what it's like driving around at night where there is nothing, pitch dark, and your mind starts wandering. You start seeing bad things happen, but it's a bin bag, or people holding a gun, pointing a gun to you, but actually it's a tree trunk.
What kind of sweets do you eat?
Well, when you get into that state, and you'll know, when you get into that state where you're doing the same thing and your body's shutting down and you're doing the same monotonous thing, because on the way back we were going on motorways, weren't we? I was really worried that I would flag and you'd lose control. But actually, all the way through, I felt not as alert at the end as I did at the beginning, but I certainly felt really alert, much more alert at the end than I ever thought I would. And what amazed me was Scotland. Wow, what a place. But what was it, 10:30 at night that we actually started losing light?
I think sunset was about 10:30,
Yeah.
10 in the evening. So they do this ride, and they do it so it's close to the summer solstice, which is usually what, the 21st of June, is it, something like that? Usually around that time, isn't it?
Something like that.
Longest day. So you're actually only riding in complete darkness for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. But because you're out in the Ulu, out in the in the wilds,
It really is dark.
but it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing was, we came down through the Cairngorms, and there's no fuel stations open on a Saturday night in the Cairngorms.
And Paul's bike's butt was clenching, wasn't it?
Oh, because he didn't know how many miles he was going to get out of it. So I think he did over 200 miles, but how much was left in it when we stopped at this fuel station, I have no idea.
I think when he opened the tank, it went.
But yeah, so that was a point to remember. So next time, if he does it on that bike again, if we do it again.
Oh, I really want to do it again.
We're doing it again then.
Not only for Scotland, but I felt that when we turned up on the Friday late afternoon, early evening, we had to sign in so that we then didn't have to go back in the evening. They did a bit of a briefing because some of the roads were shut and diversions, but we said to them, we've ridden up from Cornwall, and the ride up from Cornwall to Leeds was horrendous. There were so many people. I think every person that had a car and a vehicle was on the road in our way, so we filtered a lot of the way. But when we got there, it was really well organised, really welcoming. The people were lovely. They signed everything. We gave in our donation, because you either give a donation of about 50 quid or you get sponsorship, don't you?
Yeah.
Because it's all to aid.
I was going to take my cushion off.
Yeah. It's all to raise money for the Royal British Legion, isn't it, and care for veterans and all the great things that they do.
It's a poppy appeal.
Yeah.
So it's well worth doing.
Yeah.
And I think they said they raised. It was early morning when they
Yeah, the
told
numbers
us.
changed, didn't they?
It was either 36 or 46,000 pounds the year before, so they're hoping for it this year as well. But
and we had about 140 bikes, didn't we, that were taking part, and 1,000 miles seems an awful lot, and it is. But they also do a 500-mile route as well, don't they?
Yeah.
So you don't have to do the 1,000. But Scotland, going through Glencoe, I've never been there before, and it was almost like coming over the hill and then seeing the Austrian Alps in front of me the first time. It was that I was
gorgeous.
in awe of the beauty of it, and all the way around Scotland. We didn't get one drop of rain.
We were so lucky, because I've been in Scotland in the summer in horrendous weather.
Well, it's 29 degrees, bright sunshine. In fact, it was really hot. Wasn't it?
We had a really good ride.
Yeah.
But you can't forget that in Scotland, in 5 minutes, you can get 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is. But
And that NC500 to Wick, that is something else. If you
the A9, is it, all the way up?
No, it's the NC500.
It's part of the NC500, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's that one little part, wasn't it?
yeah.
But going up to Wick and coming back, they were my most favourite rides for riding, because they're proper riding roads, aren't they?
Yeah, awesome.
Absolutely brilliant. So if you get a chance, have a look at. We'll put the link in the description for their website. They run it every year, and lots of people around the world do it as well.
The Iron Butt Association is huge. I mean, and it's not. You have a preconception of the sort of person that does it. There was a real wide variety of people doing it on different bikes. I mean, there was a guy did it on a KTM Duke.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was like at the end.
I don't know.
We chatted to him briefly, and he was in a full set of race leathers, and
Yeah. There was RTs, and there was Harleys, and there were different cruising bikes. There was loads and loads and loads of different bikes. And I think out of all the people, because we got back 23 hours and 15 minutes we did it in. So big achievement for us. We got back and we're thinking, we haven't seen anybody for ages.
We must be the last.
We must be the last. And the guy that booked us back in, he said, no, we've got this many people still out.
Yeah.
So we actually did really well. And the thing that we didn't do around the whole thing was speed. always to the speed limit, and some people might say that's boring, but actually I'm back home with a conscience that I'm not going to get a ticket, and my license is intact, but I've had time to enjoy stuff. But the whole thing was just brilliant.
We could have done it faster by taking less stop on shorter stops.
Oh, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
The whole point of it was it was a really nice event.
Yeah.
And we were met by a mate of ours,
Spider,
in Fort William, who videoed us. And
it was quite funny. He did a bit of video, and you would have seen it. It's like a cut shot of three of us coming along Glencoe, but he shot ahead a little bit, and we slowed down to give him some space. And as we came round the corner, I'm thinking, there's an unmarked police cop up there, stood by his bike, because it looked like he had the speed gun, but it wasn't. It was Spider with his camera, so thanks,
that's why
Spider.
we were all slowing down. Everybody was slowing down. We lost about an hour and a half coming over from Loch Lomond over to Fort William, because the roads are quite narrow. There's coaches on it, holiday traffic, so there's not that many opportunities to overtake. When you could, they were all at the speed limit anyway, so we couldn't really do it. So awesome ride.
So read up about it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and we might see you on the Iron Butt Challenge next year, perhaps.
Bigger cushion.
Bigger cushion.
Yeah. See ya.